Welcome to Reboot. My name is Kelly Slessor and I'm delighted to be hosting this event brought to you by the City of Sydney and supported by the New South Wales Government Business Connect programme. Before I start, I want to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, traditional owners of the land, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, as well as acknowledging that we are all here today on different lands, and so acknowledge the traditional owners of all the lands from wherever you are and you join us today. And it's a privilege and honour each week to be able to acknowledge and do that. If this is your first Reboot session, and I have seen some familiar names in the list, welcome, welcome. For those of you that have come back, welcome back. It's a series of 9 free business webinars. I've got to put my tongue back in today, developed in response to the pandemic to support business recover, rebuild, engage, and grow their customers and revenue. And what an amazing concept that the City of Sydney and New South Wales Government Business Connect programme have put together. These are weekly masterclasses with some of Australia's leading business experts to share their knowledge on topics like digital, branding, content creation, financial planning, and more. There are 9 in total. So if you haven't watched the previous ones, we have had some amazing speakers with just really in-depth insights. Last week, we had Ronnie Hermosa from Canva. We also have Wayne Quilliam, who is a award-winning professor, Aboriginal artist. So I urge you to go back and have a look at some of the others. You'll get so much out of them. It's every Tuesday from 12 to 1. Today's session is number 6. So we've only got 3 more to go, which kind of makes me sad because I'm actually having so much, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually having so much fun doing this, and just the conversations afterwards and some of the learnings and some of the things I'm seeing the small businesses implement afterwards just fills me with joy. So I'm really enjoying it. So the next 3 sessions, jump in, book your spot. Next week, we have the amazing Sandra D from St. Frock, who built a business from pretty much nothing into a multi-million-dollar business. We also have Sina from Nutty Donuts, who has got a gluten-free vegan donut shop, which is absolutely amazing. So they'll be coming on next week. So the link will be posted in the chat. The sessions are all recorded, and follow-up EDMs are sent to you on Thursdays with everything in it, all the links, all the stuff that we download on you during these fast lunch sessions will be sent to you in that EDM. So look out for that. Today, I'm really excited to bring you me. So we've had a bit of a change of schedule. Sandra D was meant to be on this week and Sina. Sandra D was moving house, so she asked if we could move it. So we've had a slight change in schedule. Actually, I think she's not next week, she's the week after, I think. Rachel will put the link in. So I've brought my session forward, and I'm going to be talking you through all things search today. I'll get into that in a minute. All I want to say is that there is a Q&A function. If you look in the bottom kind of right-hand corner of your screen, there's a Q&A function. Please, if you've got any questions, and I'm hoping and I'm pretty sure this session will bring up lots of questions, please drop them in the Q&A. Because it is me today, I am managing me, which is really difficult. So if you can drop your questions into the Q&A, I'll be able to manage me and answer your questions in there. That would be awesome. I've mentioned the session is going to be recorded. At the end of the session, we're going to post a link to a survey in the chat. As I said, we've got 3 sessions to go. So as much feedback as you can possibly give as you can give would be really useful to making sure those 3 sessions, those last 3 sessions, deliver on everything you need and give you the insights you need. So any feedback would be awesome. Thanks, Rachel. Sandra D's session's on the 24th, not the 17th. At the end of the session, if you can fill in that survey, that would be amazing. So without further ado, I'm going to weirdly introduce and uncomfortably introduce myself. So my name is Kelly Slessor. I have been in digital and technology for my entire career. I started in the UK at a big telco organisation. I got my first foray into technology and retail, which is really at the hard, cold face of technology and sales, when I worked on a project called Sainsbury's, the Store of the Future. I then moved to Australia and ran a mobile marketing agency, which was one of the first of its kind before Facebook. It was in the days of WAP technology. And if anyone remembers the Crazy Frog ringtone, I was responsible for bringing that into Australia, which is an awful thought, and one that I don't look back on with pride. But I ran a mobile agency, and during that time, I got to work with some amazing brands. I got to work with David Jones and Diageo and Suncorp Bank. And I then went on to set up my own business in that search of work-life balance, which we all know is a mythical character that doesn't exist. And after I had my first son, I set up my own agency, and I started consulting into Westfields, where I got to work with a lot of retailers and hospitality. And I worked with, I got to work with the likes of Woolworths, but I also got to work with your small independent businesses. And over the pandemic, I actually started to educate and train up small businesses on how to launch and build and grow their digital presence. And over the last year, I've worked with over 1,000 businesses, from butchers to bakers to candlestick makers to fashion stores. And I don't know if you've got this impression over the last few weeks for those that you've been on, but I absolutely love what I do. I love working with small businesses because the opportunity for localization, for building out connection to customer, for being personable and engaging is huge. And it's an opportunity that some of the big companies don't actually have. So your ability to cut through the noise is now. Your ability to grow your digital presence is now. And the opportunity to really grow your business through digital is now. So today I am going to cover off all things search. So when we talk about search or SEO, I'll use the term SEO. It's search engine optimization. Now, I hate using, technical terms, but I'm just going to give you a quick brief of the technology or technical term. Search engine optimization is essentially about me Googling and finding your business. If we bring it down to the basics, that's what it's about. What I want to do is use search, which essentially is Google, because 90% of us use Google as our search engines. I want to use Google to help your business be found by your customers. So I'm going to give you a power hour of tips and tricks that are going to help you make sure that your business can be found by your customers. So I'm going to run through a presentation and give you some insights. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring on a couple of case studies, and I'm going to run through their business. And hopefully that will give you the real practical examples of how to do this SEO stuff. Now, SEO can be quite bamboozling for some. And I often hear businesses that say, I've spent $3,000 with an SEO agency offshore that emailed me in my inbox, and all of a sudden I'd signed up and I got nothing for it. I often hear, businesses will ask, how do I get to the top of Google? Should I pay for someone? There's a lot of rogue agencies out there that actually don't drive the results that you need. And one of the things that I'm very conscious of is educating people so you know the best questions to ask when dealing with such agencies. So let's get into it. I am going to take you through a presentation. Bear with me 1 second. All right, so we're going to turbocharge your SEO today. I'm going to get you ranking on Google if you're not already. And if you are already, I'm going to get you ranking higher on Google. The question, why is the first thing. And the reason this stuff is so important is that 86% of Australians use an online touch point, and 63% of us use Google or search when researching a product or when making a purchase or shopping decision or interacting with a business. And yourself, over the last couple of weeks, whether it be about Mother's Day gifts or finding a solicitor or whatever it might be. I don't know why I'm thinking finding a solicitor in line with Mother's Day gifts, but anyway, whatever it might be, you have jumped on Google at some point and done a search in the last couple of weeks. And I'm going to show you how Google works. In fact, local search delivers over 4 billion connections to local businesses every single month. Search is the #1 driver of traffic, beating social by 300%, and it has the biggest impact on lead generation and conversions. But when I speak to most small businesses, what I find is that they spend a lot of time in social, because that's kind of fun in some ways. People find it a lot more fun creating content than doing things like search. They spend a lot more time in social than they do in this area, which is an area where customers are searching all the time. You know, again, if you go back over your habits over the last couple of weeks, you would have jumped online and been searching for things. There's already traffic there. There are already people there. There are already your customers there waiting to find you. We just need to make sure you can be found. So this is where it gets a little bit complex, but don't worry, I'm going to distill this down into really basic terms. There are over 200 factors that help you rank on Google. 200. We're not going to cover them all off today. I'm going to cover off the main ones that are going to help you improve your ranking. And to be honest, your competitors aren't doing 200 things. So as long as we tick the main boxes, the likelihood is that you will jump above your competitors. So one of the main ones is what we call offsite or local. And we're going to talk about that today. So local search is really important to your business. So Google Business, having a Google business page, especially if you are a local business based in a local area. And we're going to go through that today and how you set that up and how you optimize it. The next one I want to talk about is content. As you can see, 18 to 21% of Google or being ranked on Google is about the content that you produce and the content you put on your site. Then we're going to talk about links and engagement. So #1, there's a typo there. #1 and #1. #1 is we need to get you connected to Google, because if Google can't see and find you, it can't rank you in Google. And again, when I talk about Google, I'm talking about you type into Google search right now, your brand name, for instance, where do you come in the list? All right, so we're going to get you connected to Google. Second thing we're going to do is make sure you're local, that people, when they search you locally, can find you. And that's all about making sure you've got Google Business set up and we've got local terms put in there. Third one is we're going to create compelling content. And then the fourth one is we're going to create links into your site to tell Google who you are and what you do. So these are the 4 main points of getting you ranking to the top of Google. So the next bit's the how. All right. There are 3 platforms that Google uses to basically understand what it is you do. The first one is Google Search Console. I'm not going to get into setting it up. I'm not going to get too technical, but Google Search Console allows Google to understand what your site is about and what people search for in relation to your site. So every business that has a website, and if you haven't got a website, the first step is getting a website, has to have their website connected to Google Search Console. So I want you to make a note, for those of you that haven't, to connect your site to Google Search Console. And the way in which you do that is literally go onto Google, search Google Search Console, and then it will give you a guided journey on how to connect it. And you may need a developer, or you may need someone to give you a little hand with that. Anyone that wants to DM me afterwards, more than willing to, and I can send you a little how-to video. The second one, I'm going to talk about this in a minute, is setting up Google Business and optimizing it. We'll get into that in a second. And the last one is Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is the platform that Google uses to see how engaged your users are, how long they spend on your website, how many pages they click through, how many just jump off and go, no, that wasn't great content. That's how Google checks to see if people are engaged or not. And going back to this ranking chart that Google has. So the things that Google will rank you based on, engagement is one of the most important. And the way in which it tells how engaged people are is by looking through your Google Analytics. So you have to be connected to all of these platforms first and foremost to help with your ranking in Google. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is your business profile. So for those of you located within within a physical area, having a business profile is super, super important. It's the way we find everything. I searched for best restaurant in the CBD, and actually the one that came up was Restaurant Hubert, which I've actually been to before, and it's a great restaurant. You search for things in your local area all the time. Accountant, physio, for instance. I'll tell you a little story. A couple of weeks ago, I had my back playing soccer, and I searched for best physio on the Northern Beaches. And lo and behold, I got this response, which was a physiotherapist in the Northern Beaches. Now, I'm going to tell you how he got to #1 in Google. So I'm just going to drop in the chat what your business is, and I'll do a local search and see if we can find you. Anyone want to drop in? What service you provide, not your business name, but what service you provide. A tea business. Thank you. Care packages, Bowen therapy. I love that. All right. Okay. I'm going to go with Bowen therapy, actually, just staying on the track of health and fitness. So let me all right, I'm going to come over here. Bear with me 1 second. I sort my screens out. Okay, so Bowen therapy. I've always wanted to try Bowen therapy, by the way. Bowen therapy, let's say Sydney CBD. I'm going to assume you're based in Sydney, but if not, jump in and let me know. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what happens here. So what we ultimately want you to do is we want to get you in these, what we call the local pack. Don't worry about technical terms, but we want to get you up to the top of here so that when someone searches for Bowen therapy within Sydney, you come up first. So I'm just going to jump in and have a look at this. Now, what you will notice is the first one is an ad. 80% of people don't actually click on ads. So just something to note. So let's have a look at the second one. The reason this one has come up #1 is because they've got Bowen in the actual name. So what Google is doing is going, okay, the first thing I'm going to map her search to or match her to is the actual name of the actual company or brand or whatever it might be. So that's got Bowen and therapies in there. It's not necessarily the highest rated one in the city. But then I look down here and I go, okay, the second one is Sydney Complementary Health. Now, the few things that this business has done to help get it at the top of the ranking, the first one is it's got great reviews. So what we do when we develop a Google business page is we ask our customers for great reviews. And again, just a note, to develop your Google business page, literally, if you don't have one already, you type in Google Business. Then you go to Google Business Profile, get listed, and it will take you on a guided journey. Now, what they do sometimes is send you a postcard in the post, and then you've got to register that, which is an oxy, which is a bit weird. But anyway, that's how you do it. And literally, it will take you on this journey. So the first thing that we noticed here is it's got great reviews. The second thing is the category is massage therapist. So Google has made the connection between Bowen therapy and massage therapist. It is so important that you get the category of your business right. And there are over 4,000 categories in Google for different businesses. So making sure you get that category, that first category right. You also have the ability to put subcategories. So you might be a massage therapist, but you might also offer, and that may be your main thing, but you might also offer facials, for instance. So you might also put beauty salon as a subcategory, but getting that main category right is going to get you at the top of the search list for that particular type of search. I'll give you an example. I work with a brand called Mindful Baker. Now, amazing cake shop. She was listed, her main category was listed as cafe. So when you search for cafe in Glebe, because she's based in Glebe, when you search for cafe in Glebe, she doesn't feature on the first page because there are so many cafes in Glebe. And actually what she does and what people talk about her and her website talks to bakery, and she's called the Mindful Baker. So it makes sense that her main category should be bakery. So now if I put in bakery Glebe, so we literally changed her category. And overnight, she went from, I think it was on page 2 to on page 1 for that particular category. We want as many customers to find you as possible that want your service or that want your product. And this is one of the main ways we can do that. So number 2 is making sure you have the right category. The third one is making sure you have great imagery as well, because one of the things that we are human in nature, the nature of us humans is we're very visual animals. We see things and that prompts us to take action. So just having great imagery can encourage customers to click on you, to order a takeaway or to go to your website. So number 1 for your Google My Business page, obviously you've got to set this up first. Number 1 is to make sure you've got the right category. Number 2 is to make sure you have great reviews and that people are talking about how wonderful your service are. So we encourage customers to leave reviews, which isn't always easy. But you know, if we can make it as easy as possible for the customers by sending them an email with a link to our review page, you know, great customers will give you great reviews. And number 3 is just making sure all your content is up to date. So great imagery, great content, making sure your opening hours are right and your suburb and everything else is correct. All right. The other thing you can do is to post once a week on Google. So again, I talk about the fact that you know, we spend all this time posting on social media and building out our social media presence, but we forget about this great place called Google, where I am constantly searching for things like restaurant near me. And I'm constantly searching for coffee near me, best coffee near me, or, you know, I might be looking for a pair of jeans, whatever it is, we're using Google all the time. So just making sure you've got fresh content on there and each week you post an update helps Google know that not only you have great services, but also it helps it understand what those services are. Because each time you post something, Google uses its little algorithm, little spider crawler, to go out there and read that stuff. And then it uses that to determine how it should serve your content back to customers. All right, so that's kind of the first thing. So the second thing we do is we create great third thing we do is we create compelling content. So we'll get more into this when we go through the case studies, but the first step in creating compelling content is really understanding what content it is your customers are searching for. So everything I do in digital with any customer, whether it be a glue store, a Woolworths, a Showpo, or a you know, chocolate on purpose, whether you're one person or 5,000 people, I always start with understanding the customer and then understanding what the customer is searching for. And this bit is the bit I find that people get wrong the most and then wonder why they're not in the top of Google search or customers aren't finding them. You know, you can develop a great website. Actually, I'm part of an SEO gurus group that we meet once a week, and there's people from all over the world in that group. And someone said something that really made sense to me this morning. He said, you can create an amazing website. You can spend $10,000 or $20,000, but if people can't find you, it is redundant. It's null and void. So what we need to do is to make sure people can find you. So working out what those keywords are that people search in order to find your website is one of the most important things you can do for your digital, for your customer experience. So how we do that is we work out, what is it they're searching for? We ask our customers, we jump online, we have a look. So let me give you an example. One of the brands that I worked with was a sunglasses company. And when we looked at their website, we kind of went, okay, well, what are the main things people are searching for? And we went over to Google Trends, and Google Trends is one of my favorite tools. So I'm just going to show you Google Trends. Rachel can drop this in the chat. So Google Trends is one of my favorite tools for finding out what people search for. So let's say sunglasses. Often what you think people search for isn't what they actually search for. So we've got, this shows me essentially in the last 12 months in Australia, and I can go to region, so I can look at New South Wales if we just want to consider this area. I can see what people are actually searching for right down to a granular level and what the increases are. So in here, I've got rising, and then I've got my top searches. So men's sunglasses, I've got glasses, Oakley, Ray-Ban, I've got different brands, but then rising ones are Gucci. So now I can start to build a picture of my customer and what they're searching for. So what I want you all to do is take just 1 minute to write out 5 things that you think your customers are searching for, and drop one of them in the chat for me. Because I will go back over the chat and have a look. Mentoring, kids' parties, textile design, educational kits, gift for men, perfect, maths tutor, absolutely, hula hoops, dream home, personal tea for anxiety, I need some of that, delivers flowers in the West, Aboriginal businesses, awesome. Now, sustainable lighting. What I want you to do, I want you to prove or disprove your theory. I want you to jump on over to Uber Suggest. And you can do this while I'm talking. Rachel will drop the link in the chat. So click on Uber Suggest. Uber Suggest is a free tool that lets you see how many people are actually searching for the thing you think they're searching for. So I'm going to pick sustainable lighting as one of them. Sustainable lighting. Is that lighting? Yep, sustainable lighting. Have I got that? And then I'm going to search in Australia because I want to see what people are actually searching for in Australia. I'm going to click on search here. Now, I love this tool. If you haven't picked this up, I'm a complete geek. Like, I really do get quite excited about this, which is weird, I know. So what it is going to tell me is how many people in Australia actually search for sustainable lighting. I've got a search volume here of 90. So 90 people a month search for sustainable lighting. For some of you, that may be enough for a sustainable business. Now, excuse the pun or whatever. And for some of you, that might not be enough. So I do get asked the question, what is a good enough volume? But it depends how many people you need to sell to. So for some businesses, a good enough volume might be 200,000 searches a month. For some businesses, 100 might be enough. So this tells me that 90 people are searching for sustainable lighting. What I would say is that might be a good term. I don't know if it's good enough that we're going to make a lot of money out of it. So we might need to play around with that and find a better term that has higher search volume. So 90 people per month are searching for that term. This one, SEO difficulty, tells me how difficult it is for me to rank for sustainable lighting. So if I type in to search, I'm going to type in sustainable lighting. We've got 7 sustainable lights to illuminate your eco home. We've got lightology. This is now telling me, this number 49 here is telling me how difficult it is for me to rank #1 in Google. Now, anything between about 1 and 60, there's no competition and there probably isn't really a business model behind that. anything between 1 and 60, you can probably rank for if you have a good website, if you have good content. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. But essentially anything over sort of 70, 80, I personally wouldn't be trying to rank for in Google. Anything that sits around here, you could certainly own that search term. And when I say own it, you could create content on your website so that when I search for sustainable lighting, and just out of interest for the sustainable lighting person, when I search for you, did you come up? Did you come up on that top, on the top one? Yes, no. Anyway, we'll come back to you. So tell me if you came up on the top one. What I do want you to do when you're searching for yourself, whether it be your brand or whether it be a particular service or product that you search for, I want you to use incognito, because Google knows your history. So I've never searched for sustainable lighting before, so I'm getting real results here. But if I was to search for physio near me, I would probably get some results that are very much based on searches I've done before or websites I've done before. So always go into incognito search so that Google doesn't look at your history and you can see exactly what it is your customers see. So this is what your customers see, the person that owns the sustainable lighting, this is what your customers would see. And that's what I see because I haven't searched that before. All right, so incognito, make sure you use that when you're searching for yourself. Now, did anyone change their keywords or is now rethinking their keywords based on just doing that little exercise? Olaf, I see you didn't come up. Yes, brilliant. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, all right. So how you rank in Google. So this is how we do it. What we do is we work out what those keywords are. So we've got sustainable lighting here. Then we create content that talks to sustainable lighting. So you see this page has actually got, let me show you. I'm going to click on this page. It's got sustainable lights in the URL. So in the top URL up here, it's got sustainable lights as a word. That's the keyword we're using, we're going after. We want those 90 people to be clicking on our page every week. In the heading of the page, it's got sustainable lights. I'm just going to delete that. And in the content, guess what it's got? Sustainable lights. So you can see that this is how this page has got to the top of Google because it has included it in the URL, in the header, and within the content. So it wouldn't be hard for us to develop a piece of content to get you, sustainable light person, sorry, I didn't pick your name up, Olaf, sorry, Olaf, yeah. It wouldn't be good, it wouldn't be hard for us to get you to the top of Google for sustainable lights if we develop the right piece of content. The last thing that you have to consider is what we call a meta description. So this is the bit that tells Google exactly what's in this piece of content. And if you're on a WordPress site, a Wix site, or a Shopify site, most of the platforms out there, when you develop your pages, there'll be a little box at the bottom that says meta description. This is where you talk about what you do and you use your keywords to signal to Google that this is what I provide. It really is it's almost a bit repetition. Now, that won't always get you to the top of the Google page. There's a bit more work that can be involved in that, and I'm not making light of what some of the great SEO gurus out there do. But I can guarantee you, if you start to do put these practices in place, you will start to see your rankings increase. And for those of you that don't have a lot of competitors that are doing this, you will quite quickly see yourself increasing up the ranking. So number one is connect yourself to Google platforms. Number two is make sure you have a Google My Business presence. Number three is develop content that talks to the keywords that your customers search for. And the last one is all about creating what we call links. Now, when Google first launched, Larry and his co-founder were sat in a university library talking about, how do you know what website is reputable? How can you work out or tell people what site is reputable? And Google and Larry worked out this algorithm, or it wasn't an algorithm at the time, it was an idea. So essentially what he said was, if you say, Thera or Olaf, if you say Trixie has a great website, Kelly is more likely to go there. So what they did was, how do we do that in a digital world? They basically said, all right, well, if news.com.au or Broadsheet says this is a good website, so links to that website, that will tell us that that is a good, reputable website. So they came up with a concept called backrub, and that's what Google was originally called. Can you imagine where we would be today if Google was called backrub? It's all wrong. So they did change the name, thank goodness. But essentially what step 4 is about is getting other sites to link to your site. The more sites you can get to link to your site to suggest that you are a good site worth going to, and the better quality of those links, so big publications and things like that, PR, is going to increase your rankings. So we spend a lot of time working on what we call backlinks. Essentially, they are just links from other sites to your sites. Now, as small businesses, you're not going to spend hours creating backlinks, but one thing you can do is whenever you talk to suppliers or you put a media article out with Broadsheet or a blog article that someone else puts on their site, make sure they link it back to your site. So the more links you can get back to your site, the more likely you are to increase your rankings. So what I want to do, I'm conscious of time, what I want to do, I've got Trixie on. What I want to do is bring Trixie on, and we're going to walk through her site, and I'm going to give her some real practical tips on how to increase her ranking on Google.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you. Do you want to talk us through your business? Tell us about your business.
Well, Sew Stock isn't exactly a business. I teach kids how to sew, and I've been teaching for 30 years. And then I decided I wanted to teach like kids all over the world to sew. And so I do that by inspiring parents, teachers, educators to teach their kids to sew. And I do that by providing free sewing patterns, by giving tips and tutorials, by giving people the confidence to sew. And I also run 2 online events, the Global Kids Sewing Party, where kids sew a softie to give to someone in their community, and Sew a Softie in July, where it's the idea is that anybody who can sew teaches their kids or friends or neighbors how to sew.
I love it. I absolutely love this concept.
Yeah.
I love the idea of connecting people through craft, because I think it's a lost art, right? And especially kids and parents and teachers and things like that. So super passionate about this idea. So I'm going to jump onto Google. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know what people search for?
Oh, one of the things are like easy sewing projects for kids, easy sewing projects for beginners. That's the sort of what I think people would be searching for. Okay,
awesome. Well, let's go ahead and see. So the first thing I want to do is make sure as a brand we can find you. So because that's the biggest opportunity, right? If someone is searching for your brand, they should be able to find you, because otherwise there's money, but for me there's money being left on the table there. So I'm going to just search for Sew a Softie and see if you come up number 1. Brilliant, you come up number 1. That's great, love it. So again, incognito, go incognito and search your own brand. You will be amazed at how many businesses I work with that when you search their own brand, you can't find them. And sometimes, you know, that's a tough thing because some businesses have really complex brand names, or they're competing with a bigger brand and therefore they don't come up. But you're great, you come up. Okay. So now that you've come up, what I want to do is come across and just have a look at some of those things you mentioned, which was your keywords. So if I get to the right window, that always helps. So I'm going to have a look. Now, this is a tool I use called SEMrush. None of you need to use this unless you're really into SEO like me and you've got lots of clients. But this is kind of my paid version of Uber Suggest. It just tells me how you rank, what your traffic is, and then what your keywords are. So if I come and have a look at this, and we have a look at the keywords. So you've already given me some of your keywords. So just give me one of your keywords again.
Easy sewing project for kids, or free sewing projects for kids.
Easy sewing project for kids. Okay. So you don't come up on the first page.
No.
Now, I'll let you all into a little secret, or a little really bad, terrible SEO joke that we tell. Good brands go to page 2 to die. So if you don't come up on the first page, you don't really exist. So if that's something you think people are searching for, then we need to get you ranking for that particular term. So let me just go back here, and I'm going to have a look at what actually you are ranking for. So in here, I can see sew you're ranking for, but you're in position 38. So when I say position 38, if I type in sew here, position 38. So page 1 is about 10. Page 2 is about 20. Page 3 is about 30, and no one's going past that page anyway. So, you know, no one's going past page 1. So you've lost someone already. So we need to get you ranking higher for these terms. So let me see. Simple sewing patterns maybe is a really good one for you. And there's 1,000 searches a month for simple sewing patterns. I'm just going to try and stop my Siri. 1 second. I don't know why that's come up, but we'll just get rid of that. There you go. Okay, back to normal. All right, so what we want to do is get you ranking for simple sewing patterns, for instance, or do you do patterns for toy stuffing?
Stuffed toys.
For stuffed toys, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Patterns, yes.
Okay, so there's 720 searches right there a month that you can get. In overall for, let me just do, I'm just going to have a look at sewing patterns, because I think that's a really key one for you. Overall, there are globally, in Australia, there are 259,000 searches a month for sewing patterns. I would love you to be seeing that traffic to your website. That would be amazing. So what we need to do now is, Google knows you talk to and do things that are around sewing. So what we now need to do is we need to start looking at your website and developing content around sewing. So I'm just going to go onto your website around sewing patterns. So what I can see straight away is you don't have a page in here, or I don't think you do, but correct me if I'm wrong, called sewing patterns.
So that would be tutorials.
So if I go into tutorials, but if we go back to my earlier example, if we can develop a page on your site that is called Sew a Softie, and it's sewing patterns.
Yep.
And then in here, we've got a title, a header here that says sewing patterns.
Yep.
And then we develop some content, about 300 words, that talks to the value of having a good sewing pattern. You are going to start to increase your rankings on Google.
Okay, so that sort of little introduction should actually have a heading, sewing patterns, and I should be talking about sewing patterns, not whatever it is I'm talking about there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what I think that the two things that I immediately see on your site in terms of SEO is that we've just got to be talking to those things that the customers are searching for. So if I go back to these search terms, sewing patterns, free sewing patterns. So, oh, continue working. Someone's logged into my account. Rachel. So sewing patterns, free sewing patterns. So you've got the basis of a really good website. Google already knows you exist. It's featuring you when you search for your brand, and you have quality content that people want. What we now need to do is get you ranking for these major terms. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So sorry, you go.
So does it matter that sewing patterns is very general in terms of that it will be sewing patterns that are complicated and easy? Mine are all directed to beginners and kids and are very simple. So does it matter that my sort of niche is very small and the term is very large, or for that particular thing, it doesn't matter? Well,
you might go even more niche than that. You might go sewing patterns for kids. So if you want to be really clear on the traffic you get, and again, for all of you, this is really important in understanding your customer. If you want to be really clear on the traffic you get, because you know that's got the highest chance of converting to a customer, then sewing patterns for kids is the one that I would be working on.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Was that helpful, Trixie?
That was amazing. Really good.
Cool. I will send you a report for your website as well. We'll download this and send it to you.
Thank you very much. That's amazing.
No problem. I think we've got Anna from Empath Anna on next. Empath Anna. Yeah.
I just stop video.
I'm going to stop share. And we'll just wait 1 second. I might just answer a question while we're waiting. My Google Analytics, this is from Vicky. My Google Analytics has never been able to read conversions on my website for some reason. I'm never worried about it as all the other parameters work, but it is hindering my ranking. What do you think? Vicky, if you go, actually send me an email afterwards. I've got a little how-to video on how to get Google Analytics to read your conversions. So send me an email afterwards, kelly@kellyslessor.com, and I'll send you the how-to video. Awesome. Okay. Hello. Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just at the warehouse today. I'm in making mode.
Awesome. Well, look, tell us about your business.
So my business originally started as being a clairvoyant, and I fell into product organically. Customers were asking me for things. So hence, I now have recently upgraded my website to be more e-commerce friendly, and I do a lot of events, face-to-face events that I sell. My main crust is my crystal candles, and listening to what you explained earlier, I realized some of my keywords aren't great.
Yeah.
And then I have the added products like, you know, your crystals, your books, your oracle cards, etc. So yeah.
Awesome. I was just saying to Rachel this morning, actually, I think I've worked with 6 crystal businesses in the last, it must be my energy. I feel like I must attract crystal businesses. I know nothing about crystals. Well, I do now because I've worked with so many, but I've worked with 6 or 7 over the last couple of months, which is really fascinating. Yeah. So I love your site. Let me just share my screen, and I'm going to jump in and give you a couple of quick tips on what you can do. So you've got intention candles, which I love, absolutely stunning, and your website looks really nice as well. Like it's really clean and beautiful.
It got cleaned up. Didn't look so good a few months ago. So I think the first thing is which you've already recognized, is going and having a look at your keywords, because you're not actually ranking for a lot of keywords, and that's because you're probably not putting a lot of these keywords in your site. So the things you're ranking for, the ranking, like the positioning is really low. So 84 is like page 8 to 10 of Google. But there's things in here
that you can rank higher for. But I think there's other terms. We need to find the right terms for you. And that will be things like crystals. I don't know if intention candles would be one, but again, you can use Uber Suggest to see if that's something people are actually searching for. One thing I would say about yours is you've got shop, which is awesome. And then just being clear on these top level menu, again, mapping those against what the customer's actually searching for. So is it intention candles? Is it, relaxation candles? What is it? What's going to get you the biggest conversion or the biggest piece of traffic? Oracle cards, is that something people search for, or are they searching for, and you'll just have to educate me, I'm really sorry, but is that the same as tarot cards?
No, it's not.
No, okay, all right.
Yeah, it can. Some people, I think the basic public who are unaware will call it tarot.
Okay.
They work differently. But from your suggestion earlier, I realised, and I played around with the websites you recommended. Instead of intention candles, it seems that crystal candles is searched for way above.
Awesome. So we need to think about changing that. Now, one caveat I'm going to add to this is if you've got good history in Google and Google knows you're there, don't go and start messing around with links on your website, because actually you can have a really detrimental effect. So if you've got great presence, great Google ranking, add links to your site. So add pages, don't go in and change them. What I would say for you is you're not ranking highly for terms. So if you were to change this to, let's say, crystal candles, and that's a highly searched term, it's not going to be detrimental. It's going to have a positive effect on your search ranking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, I think the main thing for you is just going through, mapping those keywords, and then developing the pages and the content based on those keywords. So if you change that to crystal candles, and then at the bottom of this page did a couple of 100 words talking about what crystal candles are, so that Google knows that you sell crystal candles and it understands what those crystal candles are about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was thinking while I was listening to you talk to actually maybe do a blog about them.
Perfect.
And then link to, okay.
Absolutely. Cool. And then you get the linkage that we talked about with the back rub as well, because you're linking different pages together. So that is awesome. Is that helpful, Anna?
Yeah, very. Yeah, just listening to the first half of this workshop has been really good.
Great. Well, look, we will send you the report as well. I'm going to jump in because I'm conscious we've got 5 minutes. I'm going to jump in, and I'm more than happy to stick around for another 5 or 10 if everyone else is, or whoever can stay around. I will go through and answer the questions. I'm just going to go through and have a look at these questions. So, is setting up a Google business profile listing still relevant and helpful for businesses that serve a wider geographic region? Absolutely, yes. It is. I think about it. I talk a lot about Hansel and Gretel because it was one of my favorite stories as a kid. And I talk about the fact that it's all breadcrumbs. So if you remember the Hansel and Gretel story, they left like little breadcrumbs along the way so that people could follow the path. These are breadcrumbs for Google. So having a Google My Business, even if you don't service in one place, you can tick a box that says we don't have a physical presence, and Google has done that because of the growth of e-commerce. So even if you don't service one physical location, or you are not specific in a location, you can be general across Australia. But yes, having a Google business presence is important to any business if you can. Some businesses can't have them. If we are completely online? Same, I think it's the same question, I think, and if not, please feel free to update it. But again, there's a box when you set your Google business presence up that says we do not operate out of a single location. We service the whole of Australia, and we don't want to show our address. So you can do that. How can we show photography on Google Business Services that are knowledge or expertise based versus a physical item? It's a really good question. It's probably showing pictures of the team, showing pictures of, maybe presentations or things you do inside your business. It might be showing an inside view of the business. It doesn't actually always have to be product based. There's lots of kind of advisory businesses like accountants that have a team shot or an image of, it might be something financial that they show or an image of an award they've won. You can use photos like that. The whole concept of the photos is to give people a little bit of an insight subliminally about what your business is about quite quickly. So we are goldfish. We have, our attention span is like 3 seconds. And what we need to do is give people a quick shot of what they're going to get. So if you can give an image of that, that's awesome. How do you post on Google? So when you have a Google My Business page, if you go into the Google My Business back end, so you log into your Google My Business account, on the left-hand side, that your left or my left, I don't know, but on one of the sides, there is a post button, and you can post a COVID update. You can post, let's hope we never have to do that again. You can post a kind of what's on offer, like offers that you've got, and then you can post kind of general things as well. On Google My Business my business is competing with big tutoring companies. How can I compete against these bigger companies with many reviews? Also, I cannot use pictures of tutoring with children as parents do not want this, so I'm not sure what content I can include. So I think having pictures of you, Catherine, having, maybe you presenting, maybe you on a Zoom would be useful. Again, just insights into the business, and you can use some stock imagery. I use Unsplash, which is a free platform for getting stock imagery. Rachel, can you just drop the link in there's an SEO checklist that I've put together. Rachel, if you can just drop that in the chat, you can jump in and download that, which will give you some of these kind of pointers as well. In terms of competing, it is about getting as many reviews as you can. It's about posting regularly, and it's about getting your website talking to business tutoring. It is a hard business to compete in, and I've worked with a couple of tutoring businesses. It is a really hard industry to compete in, but you can do it. You can do it, Catherine. You can do it. Is it important to have the content primarily on the landing page, homepage, especially keywords, or is that across the whole site? Both is the answer, Jen. So when you are driving them to your site, most people land on the first page. So you want your keywords on that first page, your main ones. So if you're a kids party business, you want kids party on that main page. If that's the main thing you do, and then what we do is we create other pages with content that talk to the other things you do. So you might do a kids party, which is Peppa Pig themed. So you might have a Peppa Pig themed kids party page. So you create sub content off the main page, but the main page should talk to the thing that you do the most and you do the best and you sell the most of. I'm talking really fast because I'm conscious it's 1 o'clock. I'll stay on for another couple of minutes. Is that okay with everyone? Are we good if I stay on for another few minutes? Just drop yes in the chat. I'll keep going anyway. And if you have to jump off, you have to jump off. Does an author need a Google business profile, or should they concentrate on Amazon and Google books? Should they have an author or romance? Yes, I would totally recommend a Google business profile. The ultimate game, I don't know your name, I'm going to call you Lab Lady. The ultimate game of having that Google business profile and presence is that you drive traffic to your site that people are looking for. So let's say I am looking for a romantic novel, or I'm looking for a romantic, the chances that you come up in my search will be higher if you have that Google presence. Yes, your absolute main channel is going to be Amazon and Google Books, without a doubt. So invest the energy there. But I would say if you have time and energy, absolutely, I would also have a Google business profile. Jeanette, you deal with gut issues, or I'm not sure of that question. So I'll move on. And if you can enhance that, that would be awesome. What about services, e.g. counselling, working online, and what images do you use? I think I answered that one earlier, but looking at Unsplash, if you go to Unsplash, it's actually a free image tool. And I prefer that to using the stock images, because it's taken by real, I say real people, stock images is taken by real people as well, but they're just nicer images. So I use Unsplash to get images, and you can get some from there. You encourage us to post to Google rather, or in addition to socials. Claire, I think I covered that one. If not, then please DM me, message me. I will clarify that. I think I did cover that one though. My business comes up first in the map view, but doesn't come up as one of the websites below. Is there a reason for that? Vicky, just quickly, what's your business? Because this is a really interesting one that I want to quickly answer. Crate Day. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go Crate Day. Okay. So Crate Day, unique gifts for men. All right. Perfect. So you come up in maps. So unique gifts for men. Oh, now, again, you are in a very competitive space, as you can see here. You know, the top ones are spending money on SEO, which you probably aren't at the moment. But if we come back to your site, one of the things I would say immediately is, if I look at your keywords in here, you've got gift crates for men. But we've already established that the main thing people are going to search for is unique gifts for men. So in here, in your description, what we want to see is unique gifts for men as well. And we want you to develop out pages that talk to unique gifts for men. So I think the reason you're in your web maps is because for local search, people are picking you up. But the reason you're not coming up here is because your website doesn't talk to that particular keyword. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. All right. Okay, so just wondering if Uber Suggest differs from Google Keyword Tool. Which one is more useful, or are they different uses? They're essentially the same thing. I just use Uber Suggest because you don't have to have, I use Uber Suggest, it's just easier for me. They essentially do the same thing. Is it critical that all those keywords are on the same page, landing page, or does Google pull from all pages combined? A combination of. So your main keyword should be on your main page. The thing that you think customers are searching you for the most, and the main thing that you sell and the main value you add to a person, whatever your customer is, should be on your main page. What would happen? Oh my goodness, there's quite a lot of questions, which is awesome. I love that people are interested in SEO as I am. What would happen to my current ranking if I change my URL to include my keyword? Will I be starting all over again? Yes, you would. So if you have great history, don't start changing your URLs. Only if it's a new site and you're not having any adverse effect would I start changing the URLs. What I would do is develop out blog content and pages that talk to the URL that is the keyword you want to talk to. All right, I am conscious of everyone's time. It is 1:05. I am going to try and answer those questions, and I will give them to the City of Sydney, who hopefully will be able to share them. The amazing Katrina is on, and she puts all the email together that you'll get on Thursday. But I will try and answer all of your questions and send them out on Thursday in the email that goes out to all of you. I just want to quickly say thank you. You've all been amazing, and I love that you've all had so many questions. A reminder to fill in the survey, please give as much feedback as possible. I do want to thank the City of Sydney and New South Wales Government's Business Connect programme for putting these events on. And I want to thank you all for attending. Sign up for next week. Next week we have the amazing, is it Maya? Instagram. Is that right, Rachel? I'm getting confused because of the change, but I think it is. I think it is Maya. If it is Maya, she has grown her Instagram channel from 6,000 users to, I think she's at 120,000 now in less than a year. So you're going to get so much value out of her. I know you will. And those of you that are focused on Instagram, please sign up for next week. And then we have Sandra D, and Sina the week after. Yes, you'll get a recording of this session. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you so much. Have the best Tuesday, people, and I will see you next week. Bye.